Hello! Today I'm going to teach you how to make pillows with cording and a zipper. I have my pillows already. I have my roll of zipper and pull. You can use a regular zipper as long as you have one long enough, but I'm using a roll. And I have my fabric. We are ready to get going. First thing we need to do is to cut out the panels for the pillows. And I want to show you the math that I did. Even though I think, well, it's only 3 pillows, I always draw a picture. The pillows measure 46 by 12. Now, I just would like to point out, the good thing to know, your pillow is always going to have a measurement on it. Like this is 12 by 46, 12 by 22. I measured this with my measuring tape, and it's more than 12. It's a little bit more than 22 because you want your pillow to be puffy and full. You don't want it to be empty. So we're going to make them 12 by 46 to have a nice full looking pillow. When you are cutting out your panels for your pillows, you have to make sure to include seam allowance. So I have done that here. 46 plus a half on this end, half on that end is going to be 47. I'm going to put my zipper on this long end. So I'm going to make this a little bit longer. I'm going to go 5/8 and 5/8 and do 13 and a quarter. So I'm giving myself 5/8 of an inch for that zipper. This may sound like it's very, very picky, but half an inch for me just isn't quite enough for the zipper. So I'm cutting out these panels 47 by 13 and a quarter. I'm cutting 2 out because I have 1 pillow. This one, I've got 2 of these pillows. I did the same thing, added a seam allowance here, longer seam allowance on the side with the zip, and I'm cutting out 4 of those panels, and I'm going to mark it on the back of the fabric with my pencil. And now I'm going to use this as a template so I don't have to measure again like I did the first time. I've got all my pieces cut, and now I need to cut my cording. Here's what you have to remember. You have to cut it on the bias. You can't cut it straight like this, which would save a lot of your fabric, but you can't. The bias will give you just a little bit of give, and we're going to have to take this around the corners of these pillows, and we're going to depend on that little bit of give to go around those corners. So you can go just straight or plumb, but you'll regret it when we're doing the corners of our pillows, okay? So I'm going to show you how I mark this. There are a lot of ways to do it, but I've got this. I'm just going to start. I don't need a ton of fabric, so I'm just going to start, and I'm using my pen, and I'm marking it on the wrong side. And I'm just going to mark a bias line right here on a big long ruler, and I'm going to measure 1.5 inches. Now, how do I know it's 1.5 inches? Because I've done this before, and actually it's probably more like 1.25 inches. If you want to test it and get a little piece of fabric, wrap it around this and see how much you need. You can. Maybe we should. Let me just do this really quick. I have a scrap piece right here. So why am I using this cording? This cording is, it's going to be less than 1/4 inch. It looks like 3/16, not quite an eighth. I'm using a thin cording because big bulky cording went out about a decade ago. It was very popular a while ago. No one uses the big bulky cording, but the cording around the edge really makes it look professional and finished. I work with 2 decorators, and both of them like the cording. It just looks better. You don't have to do it if you want to cut corners, but it's kind of fun. All right, so now here I'm going to look. Let's cut 1.5 inches. Why not cut it on the bias? Let's just do it for fun. Let's cut 1.5 inches and see if that is going to look good. This is just our experiment. Okay, so I'm looking at this. I'm going to be sewing right there. Sewing at right about 1/2 inch. And that is the seam allowance that I gave myself on the pillows, remember? So this is going to be perfect. I'm going to do 1.5 inches. This worked out well. And probably I knew that in the back of my brain. That's why it worked. And now I'm going to cut about 10 of these strips. 1.5 inches wide, and then I'll sew them together as I need them. Okay, we're ready to make cording. I have cut all of my strips into 1.5 inch strips. Now I'm going to sew them together. There's a way to do strips of fabric that don't end, continuous bias. If you Google that, you'll find something. I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna sew them all together on an angle. Lay straight like that. Thank you. And I'm going to do that to all of my pieces. Then we'll make our cording. It's this easy. We're going to put the cording inside, fold it over, and now we're going to sew. Now, do we want to sew as tight as we can over the cording? And the answer is no. You want to sew this so it's together, but we don't need to sew all the way up against the cording, because when we sew this to the pillow panel, we're going to sew tighter in, okay? But for now, we don't want to sew tighter in because you might be able to see it after it's all done. Okay, I have all of my cording sewn. I left the end about 6 inches open because if I need to add more to this, I want to be able to just add another piece on this end. So that's the end, and I didn't cut it. Don't cut anything. We don't know how much we're going to need. All right, so let's start sewing this cording to this panel. I'm going to start at the bottom near the zipper, above the corner. I'm going to try to sew just a smidge inside of my previous stitching. As I approach the corner, I'm about 2 inches away. We're going to go 3 or 4 little splits right there, okay? Because we want to turn this corner, and you see how those splits just let us do it flawlessly. We don't want to make a corner. We want it to be a little bit of a turn. And there's no measuring. You want it to look nice, and you don't want it to buckle too much right here. It's buckling a little, but when we turn it, and that is on the outside, it won't. So now we're going to turn it like this. We're going to go around the entire top of it the same exact way. The corners are what will give you trouble if you let them. But this is the best way. Just feel that in there, feel that it wants to go right there. All right? And you can go slow, and you're just going to turn. Beautiful. I would like to point out to you that you want it to be a little bit, so this is too much. You see how it's bumpy and it's too much. You want it to do this a little bit because we're inverting it. So we want it to be a little bit full right here, but we only want it to be a little bit full. We don't want it to be that much. So a few little divots is all we want. And I'm going to show you how it looks, but I'm going to also show you I made a mistake. See, I was going too fast. See, I went on the outside there. But when you turn it like this, it's got to be a little bit full so it will go around that corner. If it's not full, it's gonna do this. It's going to be like, oh, there's not enough to go around the corner. But you want it to be a little bit full so it lays flat out. And now I'm going to redo this corner. That's a little error that I made right there. Okay. All right. So I'm getting to the end of my cording. You want to end? No, I don't want to end. Just a minute, let me think. We don't want to pull that out right now. What we do want to do is we want to make this look nice. So we're going to open this up. We're going to clip the cording right about where this is ending, because you can see what we're going to do. We're going to put one inside the other. So that ends right about there. I'm going to clip the cording. Right. Cording clipped right there. We're going to fold this nicely under. Then we're going to fold, or just put that right there. We're going to fold that over, and it's going to be beautiful. It's a little bit bumpy right here, I can feel, so I'm going to pull this up in that a little bit. I want to make sure that it looks good under here, see, that's sliding in just a little. There we go. That's lined up. We want that lined up. That nice and tight. And you want to make sure you have forceps at all times. Let's see. Of course I don't have bobbin thread. Okay, it works much better with bobbin thread in your machine. And it looks really good. So look how nice and tight that is. Especially with the pattern fabric, you can't hardly even tell. Super nice. Now I am going to put the zipper in. Okay? To put the zipper in, I've got zipper on a roll. You don't have to use zipper on a roll, but whatever zipper you use, you want it to overlap the end a good inch or two. Okay? You just never want to be short on zipper. So I'm going to do this. I'm also going to get a pull out I bought with these zippers. All right, now what we're going to do, we're not going to put this in right now. We're going to put the pull in later because it's much easier to put the zipper in without the slide. I think it's a slide or a pull. I can't remember. I don't know what it's called. But we do know that the correct side of the invisible zipper is this side, right? And we want to do it like this so that the pull is right there, right? This is right sides together. And this is actually we got extra, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna put this invisible zipper right at the base of this cording. All right, and that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna actually take this, before I do that, I'm just gonna put a pin in the ends of both of these so I don't get them upside down. Done that before. Now I'm gonna rip them apart, put that one over my shoulder. Right sides together. We're gonna put this in with our invisible zipper foot, and we are going to get this in. This is gonna be a little bit fiddly. All right, let's try it. All right. It's bunching a little, I can tell. I can feel that it's bunching a little. I'm just gonna search it a minute, see why it's doing that. I'm gonna get another panel, and we're going to sew the zipper on the other side. This particular fabric, it's not going to matter whether we put it on this long end or this long end. It's going to be right sides together no matter what we do. I want to sew it with the same end that's going to go onto that end. That's not going to work. Pillow's going to go like this, which means the zipper needs to go like that. This is important because you could really mess this up and spend many hours very frustrated. And you could abandon your project, and that's not what we are going to do. So I've got that. I don't have a pin, so I'm just going to take this one out. I'm going to pin it right here. That's not where I'm going to sew it, but I'm just going to put this aside, get this in my machine. Now, you're asking me a question right now. You're saying, Stephanie, why are you sewing it with all of that stuff underneath the arm of your sewing machine? Because every time I sew a zipper, I want to start at the same end and go the other direction, right? Does that make sense? It's a good mantra. So we're going to do it. All right, so now we're going to look actually to see if our zipper is lined up okay. Oh, it looks pretty good. All right, let's put our zipper in. I'm going to need to get my pliers, and we're going to do it on this end because I have more on that end. In order to put our invisible zipper foot on, we need one of the tapes shorter than the other. So I'm going to cut that there. The short one is, the long one is what we're going to put on first. All right, so I'm going to open this up like this. I'm gonna put this here, and we're going to put it like this. This is right, this is right. All right. Okay, but it doesn't go like this, it goes like this. You see how the zipper comes down like that, right? We're gonna put it right about where we cut this one, just a little shorter, right? We're gonna put this one in the same way, and it's hard because we have black. We have black. I'm gonna put that one in the same way. All right. So did you hear that? That means we're golden. It went in. Holding that. The pull is going up. This is going right here. I am going to hold the tape, not the zipper, and this should just slide on. Yes. And look how nice that looks. You can't even tell. Look what we did. Except for it won't go because we have a thread right there. But look, that looks fantastic. What you want to make sure to do is there are no stops at the end of your rolled zipper. You have to stop yourself or this will just come off, and you can just go through that process again. Okay, so we've got our zipper on, but now I can see that we're about 1/4 inch off. Now, if that bothers me, I can redo that again, just unzip it and put it on again. But I think that we can just sew with a shorter seam allowance over here and a longer seam allowance on that side because I don't want to take that off. I'm going to start sewing the other 3 edges. Before I do, I'm going to unzip this a little bit because if we don't, we're going to sew all of the sides closed and then we won't be able to get our hand in there and flip it inside out. Done that. So what we're gonna do, we've opened it up 4 or 5 inches. We're just gonna line this up right here. And now you can see where our cording is, and that is actually where we want to sew. But we're going to start, and this is a little higgledy-piggledy. We're going to start like right here and try to just go over that zipper. We won't really, I don't think we'll break a needle, but we need to get over that hump and join the curve. So let's see how Hope does. Yeah. And I want to make sure I'm not sewing the cording like if it's flipped over. I don't think it is. And remember, we're not lining this up even because one side was longer than the other on that side. So now I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna sew all the way around, right along that stitching that I just did. And I know it's gonna be right and good till I get to the other side of the zipper. Okay, we've got around the whole thing. We're gonna exit. We've exited. All right, now we're going to trim and turn. I'm using my open package scissors for this because any other scissors would scream mercy. And now we're gonna turn it. That does look beautiful. Let's put a pillow in and see how it looks. See, I didn't give any extra room, and it still is going to look a little bit roomy, maybe. But it looks good. See, it's a little roomy. This is a down, so I'm just going to try to get it to fill those sides up just a little. But I think that looks fine. I think that looks good. What do you think?
I love it.